Piastri reveals McLaren made a decision that hurts him and helps Lando Norris. That's the headline energy around the paddock right now. The championship is tightening, Verstappen is charging, and inside McLaren the margins just got even thinner. If you stick with me to the end, I'll tell you exactly what changed, why it matters on Saturdays more than Sundays, and how it could tilt the title run-in without a single new piece of carbon on the car. Let's set the stage. Austin was the weekend that turned a comfortable lead into a knife fight. Max Verstappen took the sprint pole, won the sprint, stuck it on pole again for the Grand Prix, and cruised to a lights-to-flag victory. Oscar Piastri salvaged a quiet P5 while Lando Norris muscled past Charles Leclerc for P2. The numbers don't lie. Max's deficit to Piastri is down to 40 points. Norris sits just 14 behind his teammate. It's officially a three-way chase into the final stretch. And Oscar, the second half of his season has turned into a test of patience and perception. On pure pace, he's still absurdly good. Clean laps, low drama, high yield. But since Singapore, the ground has felt less stable under his feet. You remember the flashpoint. Turn 1, lap 1. Norris checked up to avoid Verstappen, ricocheted into Oscar's lane, and the two McLarens touched. The stewards let it go. McLaren let it stand during the race. Piastri's radio said everything. That wasn't very team-like. Martin Brundle nailed the mood. The ground rules between the two McLarens had just changed. That wasn't about blame. It was about expectation. From that moment, every inch on lap 1 and every pit window call started to feel heavier. In Austin, the tension flared again in the sprint. Both papayas out on lap 1. Verstappen scooping the points with a smile. McLaren still won the Constructors' title weeks ago, but you don't win the driver's crown with a civil war in your mirrors. Max knows this. He feeds on it. After Singapore, Lando said he'd face consequences internally. McLaren held him accountable for the first lap contact. He and the team never spelled out what those consequences were. That vacuum created a rumor economy. Reputable outlets noted paddock speculation that the repercussion was qualifying release priority. Oscar would get the nod to go first in Q3, track position and clean air on the banker lap. Until the slate reset. It was never confirmed by McLaren, but it was widely discussed across broadcasters and sites. And now, the new twist from Oscar himself. Heading into Mexico, Piastri told reporters the consequences on Norris's side have been removed. Read that carefully. He's not shouting, not stirring the pot. He's simply making it clear that whatever in-house penalty Norris carried after Singapore is no longer in effect. If the paddock read those consequences as qualifying priority for Oscar, then the practical upshot is simple. No more built-in Q3 edge. Back to a clean coin toss or standard alternation. In a title run-in decided by tenths, that matters. Why does this cut so close for Oscar specifically? Because Saturday has become the quiet battleground. Start ahead of your teammate, and you control the first stint, the undercut pressure, the don't fight, we're safe team calls. Start behind, and you're in the dirty air, cooking the rears and managing temperatures. Exactly the kind of invisible damage that turns a winning pace into a holding pattern. The difference between P2 and P4 in qualifying can be the difference between leading the race after the first stops and getting stuck in someone else's wake for 25 laps. If Oscar just lost a subtle Saturday labor, he lost a Sunday advantage too, even if the car is identical. Meanwhile, Verstappen is doing Verstappen things, keeping the radio calm, turning the middle stint into a slow squeeze, and letting everyone else spend energy on each other. This is the simplest version of his comeback. Qualify within range of at least one McLaren, own the first pit window, and let third cars, Ferrari, Mercedes, siphon points from whichever papaya he doesn't beat. Austin was the full demonstration. Perfect sprint, perfect race, gap slashed, belief restored. The Guardian's line was blunt. For sure, the chance is there. Coming from Max, that's not chest thumping, that's a plan. Quick pit lane stop. If you're into this kind of inside the garage storytelling, hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, was McLaren right to remove the consequences? Or did they just make Piastri's life harder when he needed every millimeter? Your take fuels the next deep dive. Back to Oscar's second half. Difficult isn't code for bad. It's code for thin margins suddenly cutting the other way. Hungary's strategy split. Monza's sequence weirdness. Singapore's lap 1 blow to trust. Austin's muted race. None of these alone breaks a campaign. Together they form weather. And when your main rival just switched the forecast to blue skies, you feel every gust. That's what this Q3 release nuance symbolizes. We've gone from Oscar carrying a small procedural edge to a colder, stricter equality at the very moment Verstappen is landing maximum weekends, and Norris is turning one-lap fire into long-run menace. The deck didn't flip. The table stopped tilting. There's one more layer we can't ignore. The narrative isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening in a garage that already chose no more upgrades. Red Bull, by contrast, kept drip-feeding small improvements and, far more important, found a calmer setup window after Monza. That's why Max's weekends look boringly perfect again. McLaren still have a rocket ship. Even Stella said the Drivers' Championship remains in our hands. But a frozen car amplifies every procedural penny. The Saturday pennies are now back to 50-50. That's fair. It's also unforgiving. So here's the answer to the headline you came for. What did McLaren change that Oscar believes hurts him and helps Lando? According to Piastri, the consequences on Norris's side have been removed. If, as widely discussed, those consequences included Q3 release priority for Oscar, then that small but real edge is gone. It doesn't guarantee different results. It guarantees different weekends. And in a title run-in where the gap to Verstappen is now one good fortnight, those weekends are everything. Here's the verdict. Piastri's second half hasn't fallen apart. It's been squeezed by momentum, micro-decisions, and a rival who thrives on both. The removal of whatever penalty Norris carried restores balance and takes away a sliver of insulation Oscar had on Saturdays. If he responds with the same minimalist brilliance that put him in front, he can still close this out. If the gray areas return and Verstappen keeps turning perfect weekends, this turns from difficult to brutal fast. Either way, don't blink at Mexico. Q3 will tell you more than the grid looks like. And Turn 1 will tell you who still believes they're owed a car's width in Papaya. Then, somewhere out of picture, a blue car will be humming along, ready to cash in on whatever drama the orange cars can't avoid. That's the hunt, that's the job, and that's the pressure Oscar Piastri is walking into, with the safety net rolled up and the title still in his hands.